Hi, I'm Professor Sri Narasimhan of the Scheller College of Business at Georgia Tech. I'm teaching this course on data analytics in business. This module is an introduction to text analytics. There are 5 lessons in this module. We start with an introduction to text analytics, which is an important topic in the realm of business analytics applications. We then study tokenization, an important way to reduce the size of the data that we're handling. In lesson C, we study word count analysis and look at 3 different ways to do word count. In lesson D, we understand the importance of sentiment analysis and how to exactly do it. Finally, we study topic modeling using LDA. So topic modeling has to figure out what is the most important concepts in a document. When we look at text, we're looking at typically what's called unstructured data. So far, we've looked at analysis of structured data, which is numbers and strings that can be stored as columns in relational databases or data frames or spreadsheets. And we've done a lot of regression analyses so far, where we've taken advantage of structured data that businesses typically capture. However, what's happening in the last 10 or 15 years is the importance of unstructured data has sort of become very, very salient for companies. So these are text data heavy applications such as emails, chats, social media, etc. And estimates are this is going to be 70 to 80% of all the data that's being stored by businesses by the year 2020. The question that we now face is, how can we analyze unstructured data from these kinds of applications like social media, say Facebook or Twitter or whatever, or messaging and chat forums like Messenger, WhatsApp, or digital media, newspapers, magazines, blogs, or documents, let's say government reports, academic journals, and so on. How do you make sense of this unstructured data? So to do that, we have to resort to text analytics. So what is text analytics? So text analytics is about converting this textual data into a structured format which is suitable for analysis. There are different applications of text analytics which include, for example, predicting stock market returns. So one of my colleagues, Professor Jeffrey Hu, and his colleagues wrote this amazing paper on stock market returns by looking at what people were talking about in a particular social media site when they were talking about companies and stocks. Then there is application in customer churn. Can you predict that? There's papers on competitor analysis and analyzing financial and accounting documents, for example. And then again, some of my colleagues at Georgia Tech, like Professor Mitra and Zhang, and a former PhD student, Denny Yin, have looked at online reviews and tried to get insights from them. And there are other papers also on that particular topic. When it comes to text analytics, there are opportunities and challenges. So social media, social networks, messaging services, as we've seen, all contain textual data that can help us to better understand people's behavior. And nowadays, some of you may be familiar with tools like Siri and Alexa and so on. These are AI-based assistants. These process voice commands, and then they recommend news, products, and services to you as a user. There's also importance nowadays of text analytics, also natural language processing methods and so on. That's becoming in vogue in businesses. But there are challenges when it comes to analyzing text. Obviously, for a global business, there's obviously the plethora of languages in which people communicate: Chinese, English, French, Hindi, Spanish, whatever, right? There's also variations in usage and grammar and dialect, if you think of English just within the US or just within the United Kingdom. And in some situations, it's hard to understand context, resolve ambiguity, and to formally figure out the sort of rules of language, how do you encode it in your text analytics. There are applications of text analytics in the business settings. Some more on that. I've mentioned this earlier. There's this impact of reviews on sales. I'm going to look at that a little bit in this particular slide. So we can think of online reviews containing electronic word of mouth, and how do you extract meaning from that. For example, the volume of reviews, that's the number of reviews, the valence, etc., from textual data. So how can you sort of make sense out of all that? So we can summarize it, visualize it, and so on. And to do that, these folks, Chevalier and Maislin, said they did see some relationship between online reviews and its effects on sales, and they use all these variables, volume, valence, and so on. And to do that, they had to figure out visualization, sentiment analysis, topic modeling, and so on. There is this whole area of text analytics. I mentioned this. So this is what they did. They looked at these kinds of reviews and hundreds of them to come up with their particular model and try to sort of tease out the effect of online reviews on sales. There is this quiz I'd like you to do before we go on to the next module. So the first question is, in online word of mouth, volume denotes the number or quantity of reviews received by a product. True or false? Answer is true. Next question, unstructured data or text heavy data such as emails, chats, social media, etc. will make up 70% to 80% of data by the year 2020. The answer is true. So in this lesson, we've seen why text analytics is important, and we've seen some applications, especially in business settings, that have been researched by scholars, and we've seen the sort of continuous sort of increasing usage of text analytics, especially in business settings.